to name them, and if they've done some disastrous stuff in social media, we're going to talk about it. And my role here is to be controversial, contradictory, and instigatory, if that's the word. And I will be a dictator if people start rambling, and I'm going to try and make sure that there are a lot of questions coming from the audience. So with that, let me ask the fellow panelists to come on stage. We have Anusha Shetty, who's the CEO of Autumn Worldwide.
Hi, Ranjit.
Hi. We have Rajiv Dhingra, who's the CEO of What Consult. We have Ekalavya Bhattacharya, who's the digital marketing head at MTV India. And we have Kapil Gupta, who's the CEO of OmLogic. Now, incidentally, just a little fun fact for you guys. Ekalavya and Rajiv started What Consult together years ago, and then they went their separate ways. So I'm sure there's going to be a heated discussion out here, and I'm going to be a bit of a Narad Muni out here to try and make sure I can pick at them both.
The correction is I stayed there, only he went to say.
Right, okay. Okay, so to start with, I'd like you both, like all of you, first to look to your left. Now look to your right. Look within you and look up on stage. Chances are the next social media goof up that the panel after this is going to be discussing is going to come from one of us. Right? You know, just like we have this sock monster that you hear about where it steals the socks that you put into your washing machine. Just like that, there is this goof monster lurking amongst all of us, just waiting for us to slip up so that there's another social media goof from one of us, right? So today, before we get started, we have a short tribute from social media to all social media goof-ups, yeah? And this is a tribute to all of them. Let's hear that. Let's have this.
When you speak up, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who takes a crack at you. When you screw up, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who points a finger at you. And when you fuck up, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who tells the world on you. And when you're silent, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who tells your story for you. First I will get 5 million views, and I will get 5 million more just to be the one who gets 10 million views to slam you on the floor. When you're lazy, I know I'm gonna be the one who's working hard for you. And don't worry, cause for the work I do, I'll pass all the credit on to you. And when you're stupid, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who tells everyone about you. And if you're mean, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who reveals that. And I will get 5 million views, and I will get 5 million more just to be the one who gets 10 million views to slam you on the floor.
Okay, so that was all fun and all, and we enjoyed fun at other people's expense. But really, Kapil, who cares? People have such a short memory that it's okay to goof up, right?
Let me actually go back before I talk about whether it is okay to goof up or not. Let me actually challenge one basic premise of how we are living in social media world. It is not. I know people keep talking about response time. It is not about response time on social media. And while I say that, I want to clarify it. Response time categorized in two different parts. One is the time that it takes for a brand to identify somebody has talked to the brand. And the other is the time it takes to actually resolve the problem, right? Most brands get so stuck with resolving the problem as soon as possible that they goof up. Absolutely the wrong thing to do.
So you're saying that the reason for the goof ups is because we're trying to get an answer out there too quickly.
Exactly. We put 21-year-olds on the job to do social media because we want to respond to the customer quickly.
Anusha, India wants to know.
Yeah. You know,
Right? Does social media goof up? Do social media goof ups really matter?
You know, mistakes happen, goof ups happen. Let's accept it. It's always happened. In the ideal world, we don't want goof ups to happen, but it's happened. Let me ask you all a question. How many of you have sent the wrong SMS to the wrong person? Or the wrong email to the wrong person? It happens. Friends, it happens. You know, in this world, you send a wrong SMS to the wrong person, and that person sends you a message back, maybe, and says, you know what, wrong message, wrong person, and then you know it's okay. So the damage is what, 2x, 6x, 10x if it's an email? But goof-ups happen, you don't want it. It's in the social world, if a goof-up happens, it's like a huge viral effect, right? Because the whole world knows, everybody knows about the goof-ups that's happening. Should it happen? It shouldn't happen. But it does happen, and let's accept it. It does happen.
Right? Rajiv, but have any brands really been hurt by this? Do they lose sales?
Yes, if they don't accept it. I think goof-ups happen. They will continue to happen. Brands will actually do many more mistakes. And that's because social media is a real-time medium. It's happening real-time. So obviously, a typo could make a word sound very different, what you intended to say and what it ended up being. I think goof-ups, what we are missing is that goof-ups are a great opportunity for a brand to illustrate maturity in handling goof-ups. Right?
Unless you're an immature brand. Right?
Yes. Unless you say, oh, sorry, my account got hacked. Right? So I think
We'll come back to that word.
yeah. So I think what brands don't realize is they go into this, and I have seen this as well. I'll probably give you one example once we come to that. But I've seen this, that brands and agencies go into what I call as a brain freeze mode once the negativity or something that goes extremely viral and they've just put up a wrong update or put up a photo that wasn't intended to go. And that brain freeze mode actually gives time for more social media users to actually come there and make fun of what you did, rather than you quickly apologizing, accepting that it's a mistake. And everybody knows people make mistakes. They're fine with it.
Rajiv, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's more about the internal pressure of your boss, your peers, your colleagues, somebody getting to know. And that pressure is what makes people do a lot more things on a goof-up, and not necessarily to do with what's happening around us.
And the funny thing is, people always talk about firing the social media intern. Who hired the intern? That guy should be fired first, right? But nobody talks about that.
So, Ekalavya, question to you. Who screws up more, brands or agencies?
Through that, look at all of us. It's cool to take on brands.
Right.
As an individual, like forget all of us, social media and all. As an individual, it's fun to make fun of a bigger brand. It gives you that ephemeral moment of, I am more superior than MTV. I am more superior than Pepsi. And that's the main problem, If you look at it as an end user, why does all this happen, Like she said, if you send an SMS, it's fine, right? They come back with a smiley. But the whole thing actually blasts. But people love it, yeah. People love like, oh wow, Star Sports made a tweet. Let's all retweet it. It's so awesome. Wow, someone like Star Sports is actually a human, and that's when it all starts. I think goof-ups are awesome. Goof-ups, and I'll actually tell you how we actually.
How did MTV deal with that goof-up we saw up here? The wishing John Lennon a great year ahead on his birthday.
Firstly, I love interns, and it's 16 to 24, yeah, channel TG. If you hate us, then probably you're not our TG. What happened is, we have this property called This Day in Music, okay? You know how many people see it? You all complain MTV doesn't play music anymore. You know how many people see it on a daily basis? Only 2,000, which is not that much, because we have 23 million people following us across Facebook and Twitter. Only 2,000 people actually care about it.
By the way, I think it's a dating site, huh?
You're not a TG. So what happened is, yes, we wished John Lennon a joyous year ahead. And what happened is, wow, MTV screws up on music. That's so awesome, yeah. Chalo, tweet karo. Let's share it on Facebook. Let's bring MTV down. We took a step back. We are like, wow, we're actually getting a lot of traffic. We recorded 250,000 views on our website the day we posted that tweet. Did we do it intentionally? Probably not. Will we do it intentionally later? Maybe. How did we handle it, We put up a picture saying, in the memory of the social media intern who got fired. And there was John Lennon saying, I will definitely have a joyous year ahead, with a troll face. we got so much love from the people who are in the industry because, you know, it's a brand owing up its mistake. It's a human brand. I'll tell you, we took it a step ahead. This year, on John Lennon's birth anniversary, we actually put up a tweet again, with John Lennon said, I had a joyous year. What about you? And, you know, a lot of blogs picked it up and said, this is a brand which probably made a mistake. You know, it covered up in a very funny way. Our bio says it's the channel your mom warned you about, yeah. So we can get away with stuff. And a lot of guys were actually appreciative of the way we handled it, you know. And it makes the brand a little cooler, I feel.
Kapil, what is your favorite goof up?
Actually, it's very difficult to pick up on one. Before I talk about a favorite goof up, let me spend a little time expanding what Eklavya was saying a little more. See, a few years back, the world that we lived in, it used to have a news. And then there were these small conspiracy theories that used to develop. And the news used to be the news which will be carried by television and print and radio and other places. And these conspiracy theories will be placed on the side. The world that we live in now, the social media world, the news and the conspiracy theories are equal in size. And sometimes the conspiracy theory actually becomes bigger than the news. Where you actually get social media to work well for you, exactly what Eklavya said, is can you make one of those conspiracy theories to become bigger than the news itself? In the way MTV handled the problem of the tweet that they did about John Lennon, they in some ways created the conspiracy theory saying MTV did the tweet on purpose. You know, it kind of, in some ways, the day it went on, it became like that. When the hacking happened of the famous, you know, fast food brand, same thing. Most of the people came back and said, you know what, it probably was
They
not
got
hacking.
5,000 followers in the first 30 minutes.
Exactly.
When the McDonald's and Burger King thing happened, 5,000 followers, 30 minutes. Everyone loves it.
Absolutely. So it is really
so
about
I guess
how
what you're saying is that these goofs provide great entertainment value.
I would love for, let me give an example. A couple of years back, ClearTrip fired their PR agency, Bus PR. Okay, claiming that they have done, you know, they misused the data that ClearTrip had provided them, and there was an issue. I actually went out at that time and wrote a blog post saying, I think ClearTrip is doing wrong by publicizing this on social media. They are going to their customer and saying, we are bigger than thou, look at how much we care about you. That blog post on my blog at that time, which used to get 3,000 views in a month, that particular blog post in a day's time got close to 2,000 views. And a lot of people came back and said, Kapil Gupta is trying to misuse ClearTrip's screw up of this event
Every blog
for
wrote about the Star Sports thing, you know.
Exactly.
It's traffic for them, yeah. It's like TRP ratings in terms of television.
I think you want to, I think brands need to start becoming more spunky, more social in their approach to actually making goof ups.
And maybe deliberately make some goof
Yes,
ups. Right?
let me give you my favorite goof up, which I have been telling good travel brands to use. I haven't been able to find a customer. Almost a decade back, and this is not in the social world really, almost a decade back, United Airlines made a goof up on their website where they were selling India tickets for $10 for a very small point. Okay. Moment after they did that, okay, every day I know thousands of Indians who will go on United site to see, do they have the screw up again? Did the system go wrong again? I have been telling travel brands to actually go do that goof up and then say, you know what? We will come back and make that goof up again. Keep coming.
You know, Ranjit,
Anusha,
I wanna
just a quick question to you.
Yeah.
What's been Autumn's biggest screw up?
You did that on purpose, didn't you? We've had.
It does.
Okay, good.
Okay, so one of the brands we manage is Microsoft, okay? And we love the brand, we do it really well. You know, one of the, you know, messages that we carried, kind of, you know, I wouldn't call it a goof up like the goof up that we just spoke about, but it was a level of over creativeness, if there was a word like that. You try to get a little too smart, little too engaging, and ended up, you know, creating a pun that ended up giving you a different message. And in that context, we did get into a little bit of a mishap. And thank God for us, you know, we have clients like Ekalavya. You know, recently, Ranjit, you've been part of that whole thing. You know, in a recent social web seminar, you know, we had our client on stage, and I was there in the audience, and he actually joked about it and said it to all, and, you know, we all laughed about it and said, okay, life goes on. But yeah, we've had our share. it happens, and this is for Xbox. Okay. Yeah.
So there's this saying that, if you pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys. Now, our brands, our agency is guilty of paying peanuts, and
You meant brands are guilty.
brands
right?
and agencies
It's
are
a, it's a cascading effect.
Okay,
if you
then
realize.
explain that.
How many of us have a BMW out here? I don't think any of us. If it wasn't a cascading effect, I'd be roaming around in a Jag outside. No, so I think it's a new industry. I don't expect brands to spend as much money. I didn't expect them to spend 7 years ago. I think over time, their budgets have increased to spend with on social media. But I think it's not about it's not that you have young, inexperienced people because of which you're having goof ups. You're having goof ups nonetheless because this medium is so real time, and the data, unlike the television medium where you chalk out a campaign, make a TVC, it goes through 20,000 approvals, then the final cut is made, and then the final cut gets released. There's no chance of a goof up, right? Here, somebody, whoever it might be, even if it's a 40-year-old handling your brand, you're depending on one person to deliver the message, right? So there is going to be a chance of a goof up. I don't see how a goof up, where somebody's just put up an abusive tweet which was not intended to go on that channel, will get corrected with more money, right? I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah?
Like anyone could have tweeted that.
Yeah.
But a little more
But you
on
know
that.
what? I'm going to contradict this, okay? Money does play a role. You want to get the right set of resources in. I'll tell you, 5.5 years now since we've been doing social media marketing, and I knew that 5.5 years ago to get something beyond 50,000 per month from a big brand who would spend millions of dollars in traditional advertising was really, really difficult, because I loved the panel that went by recently, and they said everything in social media marketing is supposed to be free. And if Ekalavya thinks differently, I need to meet you on Monday. But more importantly...
We don't work with agencies,
Okay, we need to talk about that. That's the next subject that's coming up, I'm
next
sure.
thing.
But you know what?
You
Money
don't know, me
does
and me go a
matter.
long way back.
Okay, so that's good for me,
How many
Rajesh.
people in the audience think they're getting paid enough by social media?
What is your question? Sorry, Ranjit.
How many people in the audience feel they're being paid enough
None.
by their agencies and brands?
They are
I know,
paid
that's a-
enough, I can raise hand. Paid enough, don't know.
Enough is never enough. Yeah. Enough is never enough.
So,
but
I
Ranjit,
guess
I want to just add
at this
something
point, I
on
want to
that.
say that, guys, feel free to ask questions. This is not going to be about only us talking. So if you have a question, the mics will be passed around and you can get a chance to ask as well. Right? Ekalavya, sorry.
Imagine this scenario. Firstly, about youngsters and all that's a myth here. If you're selling a product to an 18-year-old, ideally an 18-year-old should be tweeting because he'll get the communication. If you're selling a BMW to a 40-year-old, then get a 40-year-old who knows about the BMW to tweet about it. So please first get that. But this is the first question which I actually skipped. Brand versus agency. Now imagine, let's take Star Sports case, We're taking names, right? So Star Sports puts out that tweet saying, "Chup, beti chod." Now what happens? Okay, tweet goes out. The guy who makes the tweet, sends it to his boss saying, "Sir, galti ho gayi, kya kare?" Boss is like, "Arey, galti ho gayi, kaise karte ho yaar galti?" But he tells his boss or the account head or the CEO of the agency and says, "This has happened." Okay. Now look at just look at the entire circle. Now the head who's handling the account talks to the digital guy at the other end, saying, "Boss, this has happened." This guy, the brand manager or the assistant brand manager in digital, will then talk to his brand manager and saying, "Sir, ye ho gaya." Now the brand manager will talk to the communications head or the PR head, or probably not even the head, someone junior. Then it will go to the communications head, okay? Then maybe if it's got legal implications like the Pepsi tweet had, it will go to your legal department. By the time it comes back, you know what's happened, right? You get 5,000 retweets, and so which is why I always feel a lot of you from agencies over here, I'm sorry, every brand needs to handle its own social media
So
in-house.
let me ask you that question then. How would MTV have handled it if one of their interns said "Chup, beti chod"?
It was Virat Kohli's birthday. We would have put a hashtag saying "Talk like Virat."
One of the things, Ranjit, I hate doing this, but I need to kind of counter-argue this whole thing. Lintas, which used to be Lever's International Advertising Services, used to be the in-house agency for the Unilever team, right, for many years. Why did they move out? What happened? Why is it that advertising today can't be an in-house thing? There are two big issues here. One is to do with the fact that it is not about a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 24-year-old or a 40-year-old. Honestly, that's not about it. This is just another beautiful extension for the brand to reach out to its stakeholders. You cannot replace experience and maturity that marketeers bring to the table, the different diverse capabilities that agencies bring to the table. And if you want to use all these things, you can't own them in-house.
I disagree
if
with
you
you on
own
social
them
media.
in-house, you cannot...
See, I disagree with you on social media because a mature 32-year-old, when he was exposed to social media, you know, say 7, 8 years, and you have a 22-year-old who's also been exposed to social media for 8 years, when you talk about maturity in life as compared to knowledge of the medium, I would disagree. Why in-house? Because, you know, brand custodian, you know the brand. You know, I'm not talking about advertising, I'm not talking about creativity.
It's
I'm
the
talking
same
about
rule.
general communication of a
Ekalavya,
brand.
it's the same rule.
Let's have
It's the same rule.
Rajiv wants to say something.
Yeah, so here's my point, okay? I agree with Eklavya. I think...
Hello?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I have an agency, yes.
We have 3 agencies here.
Yeah, he started this agency, What Consult started with Eklavya. I agree with Eklavya. If you are a brand that can manage, and this is in capital letters, if you are a brand that can manage social media internally, then you should, if you can, right? The problem is, in brands, brand managers don't have what it takes
Say
to
it.
take the responsibility
Say it loudly.
of their own brand if it screws up, right? Now, second point, they also don't have what it takes to empower the agency and say, boss, you've understood my brand, now go creative and do it, right? They don't give them, yes. So it is the empowerment. I think agencies can handle brands really well if they are treated as partners and they are empowered. They are made to feel one with the brand.
Yeah.
I don't see
I
how, yeah, so that's my view,
let's
how
sign up.
agencies can better
sign up.
handle brands. And otherwise, if you are a brand itself, even within a brand, if the person who's handling, let's say, is a digital manager who's handling the brand, he's being told every day, you're an idiot, you're an idiot. If there is no culture internally in the company to get excited about the brand, the social media is going to suck. Make no mistake about it.
Point from
I want to add a
Kapil.
couple of points to it. So, social media is 2 different things. On one side, social media is management of your Facebook page, management of your Twitter profile, and putting posts and engagement on social media. I would agree with Eklavya. That is something that brands can manage in-house. You can hire if you
guys
are
are
a...
being politically nice.
No, I'm not being politically nice. I'll come to that. If you are an MTV and you can hire enough really smart 22-year-olds who can understand your brand, who can put in the right posts and tweets, absolutely by all means go ahead. Here is the problem. Social media is not about doing postings on Facebook and Twitter. That's a myth that most brands live in. Moment you expand social media to what it actually means, which is coming up with innovative platforms, innovative engagement avenues for your customer, brands can't do it in-house. They don't have the expertise, they don't have the wherewithal, they don't even have the market research available in terms of what would actually work. This is where the agency needs to come in. The problem is, most of the times, the brand manager who sits on the other side. Let me give you an example. I remember sitting in a meeting once with, I wouldn't take brand
you
names.
need to name the name.
Yeah, you need to take names.
Okay.
We need to know.
I still can't take names. I'll give you an example. I was sitting with senior management team of a very large political party.
Oh, now
There
we
was
know.
this guy that I explained.
There can
what-
be only 2, huh?
Well, no names. I am under NDA. There was... No, not that NDA. Not that NDA. Non-disclosure agreement. Anyway, I was sitting with this guy I spent 15 minutes explaining what Twitter means. In the 16th minute, I told him a hashtag that I was going to run the next day. And this guy comes up and says, on my brand, this won't work. And I looked at him and said, but last 15 minutes, I was explaining to you what Twitter means. In the 16th minute, you developed the wherewithal to tell me what hashtag would actually work on your brand. That's the problem. Sure. Brand managers and brands do not let agencies be innovative and creative. Social media, to the extent of putting Facebook posts, to the extent of putting tweets, that doesn't take too long.
Let's have
Social media
the
is
last
not
word
about
on this.
Facebook and
let
Twitter.
Anusha
Social
have the last word on
media.
this.
Social media is 360 brand strategy.
Absolutely.
Digital is
Okay,
part of a business.
Anusha?
Yeah.
Last word to you.
On a serious note, with all respects, Ekalavya, to your internal team, on a serious note, people need exposure in life. If you work on a single thing day in, and I see this in my agency all the time, if I don't rotate jobs, if I don't give them exposure across, the best of teams get into boredom and they say, you know what, I'm not interested. And that's where attrition sets in. I think exposure is critical. Creativity comes with exposure. You need to work on diverse accounts, on different things, and and the best practices from different domains get
Zero
used here.
attrition rate, 3 years.
Yeah, no attrition.
We do a lot.
That's
yeah. We
because
do a
you
lot
guys
more.
treat Facebook as a dating.
No, that's because they talk about interns leaving, not
We
as
can have like
attrition.
a boxing
Yeah.
ring,
So
right? Yeah.
after this,
Okay,
I want to
question
take
to
it-
Rajiv.
Yeah.
Rajiv, are brands and agencies both guilty of not understanding the medium? Are the wrong expectations being set?
See, both brands and agencies are trying to have a controlled way of doing social media, right? They are not letting it flow, okay? It's about being intuitive, intelligent, yet true to the brand. All of that within a day, or in some cases hours. That's not easy, right? And I am, we run a fairly large practice now, but I'm very happy to say that I feel excited if every week I see one brand where I'm doing some work which is similar to this. It's not easy because brands have this tendency to totally control what message goes out. That's
Right.
the way they've been brought up. Right? And they will not get out of it. Agencies, on the other hand, are trying to break free from that, but then, nobody wants to get fired in this market, right? Nobody does, right? So you try and evangelize, but you give up at the end of the day saying, okay, TK, you have to service the client, you've given all the recommendations possible, you've told him it has to be real time, it has to be intelligent, but TK, abhi aapko aisa hi chahiye, to TK, right? So that's the way it actually functions in terms of the relationship. And what suffers is the communication, which could have been so intelligent, so creative, suffers because of that, right? And I think that's the bane of the industry. If you look at it from the way we are currently structured as an industry, social media, the biggest bane is that people are not willing to go out there, not put their, head on the line and say, I know this, I got this, right? And kudos to MTV, he's doing it with his internal team. He could get fired tomorrow if it doesn't go right? That's the accountability he is taking.
Right.
I would do pat on the back on anybody who takes accountability, right?
Anusha, how much of the problems that we're seeing, some of these goof-ups, are because of not enough social media listening? I mean, not using tools like Germany's Explicate. Right?
Yeah, you know what? The answer is really in listening. That's the start point to any social media platform or program. You have to listen, you have to see insights, whether it's in the earned media or on your own media channels itself. And there's so much insights out there that can transform into great outreach programs, really.
But how does Germany help avoid Supreme Court is so gay?
No, Germany, no, I wouldn't say that. But if,
No, but I want to know, like, how does listening actually avoid a goof up which is not really
no, the goof up if it's a spontaneous kind of goof up that could happen because of a genuine mistake, then it probably won't help. It's probably
all the examples
but,
for that, those.
No, but to answer
But
your
if you're
question,
talking
some of
about-
the tools back end allow us to actually ensure, a lot of these goof-ups also happen because we mismanage our identities. And,
Yeah, you got
wrong
the same
things.
account on the
And you
same
can have
app.
these tools working in favor, so you don't have to post the wrong tweet or the wrong comment on the wrong.
Exactly. That's actually my next question. How many of you guys take security very seriously to avoid problems like people posting from their personal account, thinking that they were talking, rather the other way around, posting from the personal account, thinking they were talking from the brand account?
So let me answer it two different ways. I have had two situations over the last 4 years. In one case, I was the master admin of 3 brands I used to manage, and somebody hacked my Facebook account.
Oh, did they?
What's that? Yes. I can't even tell you what all I had to go through to have Facebook actually return those accounts to me. This is when there was no multiple admins and there was no control and capability available. I can't tell you how many people I actually pleaded and begged saying, I will go bankrupt if it doesn't change. I mean, there was a page of a large brand which was more than 1 million people at that time.
You're again not going to name the brand. Right?
HBO. Okay. That I can name. But we got it back from Facebook. I mean, of course, I had to go through a lot to get it back, but we got it back from Facebook. Number 2, there was this guy that works in my company. He was responsible for doing YouTube for a specific customer. It didn't hit the brand really, but what he used to do in the office was he used to watch porn. Well, to make a long story short, this guy from the brand goes into his YouTube page and he says, recommended for you, porn. So, having seen these two instances, we take security in the company very seriously. In fact, I understand social is a very spontaneous medium, but there is no Facebook post and no tweet on a large brand, on the brand page that will go out in OM Logic without somebody CCing the post. The CCing could happen over a Skype, but it has to have two eyes look at it before it will go live. It could still have spelling or grammar mistakes, but it will avoid the big goof-ups. Right? Let me give another example where where sometimes we will miss. On HBO, we recently we were doing some campaign for True Detective. It's a series, HBO original series. And we did the campaign, and we were giving hints to people to identify what we are talking about. One of the hints was for that Fatal Tuesday in New York City.
Right.
It became such a big issue for the brand. Okay. While if you actually think about it, we didn't say anything derogatory to anybody. We didn't do anything. I mean, it was just saying that Fatal Tuesday. And it was a Fatal Tuesday. I mean,
so I guess there are several examples where you're being a little insensitive.
I have a counterpoint to that. Yes, security is important. Even we have, sufficient tools that we use. I don't think process can compromise purpose, right? That's one of the things that I think cannot happen. Also, my general sense is that if a goof up has to happen, it's like saying that you wear the biggest bodysuit and get out of the world. If you have to die, you have to die, right? So if the goof up has to happen, it has to happen. I think what's more important is for a brand to understand what its attitude towards goof up is going to be. Is it dirt under the carpet syndrome, or is it take it on and address it?
Sure.
Right? That's the second point. The process versus purpose, what I want to elaborate a little bit on that is, process is basically, this is the tweet, is this right, check it, put it up. The purpose of social media is to be lively, it's to be engaging, it's to be real and not orchestrated and brochured in many ways.
So I buy your point completely.
Yeah.
A little bit on a lighter note, Ekalavya, you've seen all these brands and individuals talking about using my account got hacked as an excuse, right? We have Shashi Tharoor who's done it. We have others who have talked about it. Can you suggest a few more creative suggestions that brands could use?
Raina killed it. I think Suresh Raina, if you all remember, my nephew took my phone. I think that was awesome. He got a lot of followers. Basic, if you've made the mistake, irrespective of who's done it, guys, we are sorry, we are humans, let's move on.
Yep.
That works every time. Just say, don't wait for your legal this, that. Just say, apologies, we made a mistake. Follow it up with followed up something which is funny. Humor always works.
Possibly put a video showing how you smashed that phone which made the mistake.
Yeah, like something funny. You can't say our account got compromised and someone got this and we are investigating and FBI and CBI coming in. All ridiculous, We're sorry. Let's move on.
Happen.
And I want to say, you also want to do that with goof-ups that the brand did offline. Let me give an example. Last year, and I'll again come back to HBO. Last year, HBO showed a movie, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. It was supposed to be the biggest movie of the decade because it was never shown before on TV, and it was, Harry Potter series, and it's got amazing followership. When they started the movie, there was a 25-minute lag between the audio and the video. I'm not saying 25 seconds, guys. There was a 25-minute lag between the audio and the video. An hour into the movie, I get calls from these friends saying, have you seen the HBO page? You guys manage it, right? And it's a Saturday. Right. To top it all, there was lesser coverage of people who were monitoring the page. We went in, we looked at the page. I put in 8 guys in the next 30 minutes who went out and they responded to the 12,000 messages that we got.
Wow.
12,000 messages. And what we did was, we didn't just go in and just say, oh, it couldn't have happened, blah. We said, okay guys, it happened. We understand it happened. The movie is repeating at 8 o'clock in the night. And before we start, again, response time is not the best, is not the optimal metric. We checked out with HBO. They said the movie is going to repeat at 8 o'clock. The master tape had an error. But we had a duplicate tape also. We checked the tape is fine, so it will show absolutely fine when it runs at 8 o'clock in the night. We went out and we talked to people funnily, we responded to people and all that. And for me, what was the best saving grace for the brand is at 11 o'clock in the night after the movie finished, there was so many posts which basically said, hey HPO, relax guys, shit happens.
Perfect. And I want to thank you again because you've given a beautiful example of how social media listening could have helped, where you don't want to hear from your wife or your friend or someone calling up to tell you that listen, something screwed up on the ground. You want to know when there's a United Breaks Guitars video which comes out, you want to know because using a social media listening tool. Okay. Before we wind up, let's have questions from the audience. We had a very lively session from the panel.
Don't be dead, man. I'm gonna judge you guys.
Okay.
Like social media Bombay was cooler, especially if you're not asking questions. Don't worry about goof ups.
Come on, Bangalore.
Hey, there's a question there. Yay.
Thank you. Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. See, my question is about what Star Sports got wrong. We've said, yeah, I mean, in the immediate aftermath, there was some amount of unexpected positivity in the sense they got more followers and all of that. But I think this happened around a couple of months back. And until I saw it now on your show reel, I'd actually forgotten about it. And I'm sure that's true for most people over here. So my question is, if you goof up on social media in India, is that really going to affect your brand at all? Is that going to have a negative impact at all?
Sure.
Right,
Let
in the
me
long
first
term?
ask a question. Can anybody in this room give me one example of a goof up done by a brand that makes them think lesser of the brand? Not makes them think funnily of the brand, not makes them think the brand make a mistake, but that makes them think lesser of a brand in the long run. One single goof up.
United Breaks Guitars.
Yeah, I think
Well, that's not a social media goof up.
You know, I think it's
That's
a
not a
little
goof up.
different. You know, let's not, go there and, act like goof ups don't matter at all. They do. Brands really suffer because goof ups happen. And there's a lot of negativity that happens around the brand. No brand, they spend a lot of money, they spend a lot of energy researching and handling their stakeholders really well. And just because something like this happened, no brand likes it, right? If you were in that space and, you were the CMO of this company, the CEO of this company, you wouldn't like that negativity around you. You don't like it. So let's not actually joke about this. Goof ups matter. It shouldn't happen. It does matter. It does affect the brand. Now, like brands are not made overnight. People are sensitive and understand. Memory is short and people do forget, but they laugh about it when they see it on the show reel again. Brands are not killed overnight because the brand is not just about that particular tweet and the complete full experience that the brand provides. But it does matter. Goof ups that matter and we shouldn't really ridicule that completely either.
Unless we find stop watching Star Sports. I doubt anyone stopped watching
Exactly.
Star Sports.
Or unless we find people who even unfollowed stars.
Question from Mr. Balaraman up front here.
Check. Okay. Hi. I have a question. Okay. This basically, what I observed from what you guys said and what Eklavya said is you made a mistake and that's over. Move on with it. And with social media, the memory over there is so less, the memory span, that people forget and then they move on. I mean, what happened with Alok Nath, it's overdone. And it's moved on. Nobody even talks about it. And it's more or less like a PR goof up that you do. You have a negative story or a mistype in your newspaper. You come out with a correction and say, we are sorry, we are done with it. And then everybody forgets. So how would you say on social media, post that thing, if people still continue to hog you with that thing with what happened with Star Sports, people still say, yaar, Star Sports ne aisa kar diya, hum log, why would you do that? How do you go on to correct it with your future brands as an agency? If you lose out that particular brand or an account, how would you go on telling people that that was a mistake, it won't happen again? How do you go on telling that?
I guess he's asking, as an agency, if you
How
made a
do you
big
deal with
mistake,
such a situation?
what do you tell your next customer?
Yeah, I think in this business, everything is progressing so fast. I think all of us going to office every morning to unlearn and learn every day, right? Mistakes happen, but we learn and we put better processes and structures in place. Two things I think is very important. One is discipline in the way we do work, and two is pride. You know, a lot of employees who make these mistakes have to understand that they have to build pride in the way they do their work, the pride in the companies they represent, the customers they represent, and the stakeholders they represent. So if you consistently work in progressing on these two angles, you just get better and better every day.
I'd just like to add to that. A, ignorance is bliss if someone's trolling you, okay? B, you have to do better work, yeah. Like what bothered me about Star Sports is Star Sports had a beautiful website, you know. If you look at their player, it's one of the adaptive bit rate, the streaming, their timeline. What pains me is there are lesser positive tweets about Star Sports during the entire thing, and there were just negative tweets. And this is what's happening, you know. Any Vodafone guys in this room, Vodafone signal really sucks in this room, in the whole of Bangalore. And if I couldn't like message, I would probably tweet saying, Vodafone, you suck. But now you take a step back, and if I could probably make the tweet, could SMS, or could make the call, I'm not going to go on Twitter and say, wow, Vodafone, you're so awesome, I could make the call, yeah. So which is why the negativity and the positivity on social media, it's morely negative, and people just love that high which they get, like, whoa, wow, I'm on Twitter, all my followers are seeing me taking down Vodafone. Move on, yeah.
I just think you should say sorry. You know, you'll be surprised how many people, once you just say sorry, it diffuses the entire situation, no matter what has gone wrong, right? And you know, in a sense, it was a mistake, and we apologize. That's it. That
As an
actually
agency,
closes
you show
the
your better
story.
work, yeah.
Well,
If you've done good
Any
work,
other
right?
questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Balram.
Is goofing up a creative opportunity in social media?
Yes?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, absolutely.
It can be turned into one.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It
why-
should be, and they should be planned. They should be planned.
I wouldn't.
I'm
go
not
in-
kidding. We recently created a video where we took Arnab Goswami's face, where we pointed out the Times Now logo and everything. And we are very clear. I want Times Now to come back and sue me. Hey, but I can't. It's a very small product that I am creating in-house. It has no traction. It has no visibility. Nobody talks about it. Let Times Now sue me. People will talk about it.
I wouldn't go to that extreme, but it can be turned into an opportunity. I think failures, goof ups, bad things happen to everyone. It's how you react to it shows your character as a person, as a brand, as an agency, right? And I think it's a great opportunity for brands to show character, whether that character is one which takes itself, a brand taking itself lightly, or it's a character that a brand takes its customers seriously and apologizes immediately and profusely. If there are 10 people further tweeting, apologize to all 10, right? But do not hide, do not run, do not put the dirt under the carpet. I think that's one of the things that brands really need to learn, to own up, right? If the agency made the mistake, you hired the damn agency, right? Own up. You know, I've worked with one client, and I'd like to name this client. We made a mistake on its Facebook page, a post that was not intended to go on the page went. Mistake happened. We took it down. The client not for once raised his voice. He said, Rajiv, what do we do next? He did that, and after that he said, you know, he didn't even, in fact, you know, I said that, you know, we'll change the person who's working on the account, we'll put another person on the account. The client told me, no, things happen. I want her to say this will give a bad signal about my company to your brand. And this was, I'll mention the brand name. It was the Sanjeev Goenka group that we work with. And his name was Mr. Sanjay, who's the VP marketing. So that kind of maturity from a marketer, I appreciate. And that person who was working on this account, because her mistake was forgiven and the brand, the VP marketing took such a call for that person, she's going to be 20 times more careful next time, because there was appreciation from the other end to say that, no, you still handle my brand, because mistakes happen.
Anusha, 60 seconds.
Yeah, thanks. Ranjit, one of the most individual brand examples is Kiruba Shankar. If you all know him, 2 years ago when the goof up on TED happened, I think that's a signal for me, right? And you know, the whole world was going against him. You know, the number of tweets that kind of attacked him, he went out and, you know, replied to every single person, either apologizing for letting India down, or, you know, for not realizing what he had done and gone ahead and done it. And I think he really handled his individual brand really well. Must go back and check. 2 years ago, Kiruba Shankar and Ted.
Can we take one last question?
No, we're
Okay,
actually.
then let's just summarize quickly. I guess I'm a little disappointed that there was so much consensus between Ekalavya and Rajiv. I was hoping for more fireworks. But to summarize, I think what we're all saying is that goof-ups happen, own up to it, work hard to resolve it, work hard to prevent the next goof-up from happening, use listening to try and see that you understand about on-the-ground goof-ups, make sure that you have the right people who are trained, make sure you work hard on security, and by and large, deal with things as they happen. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.